Let's try another problem where we are going to rationalize the denominator. This time we need a little bit different strategy because we can see that our denominator looks different. We have the square root of 3 and then a minus 1. To take care of this, what we need to do is multiply by the conjugate of the square root of 3 minus 1. You will remember that what the conjugate means is that we keep the same numbers, but we use the opposite sign. So for this one, we would want to multiply both numerator and denominator by square root of 3 plus 1. Then, as we look at this, let's go ahead and see what happens when we multiply these conjugates in the denominator. We would take square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is square root of 9, or 3. Then we would take our square root of 3 times the 1, so we have 1 times the square root of 3. Then we would take negative 1 times the square root of 3, and the last piece would be negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1. What happens when we multiply these conjugates, if we'll remember, is that these middle terms are always going to drop out. That means our denominator is 3 minus 1, or just a 2. Our numerator, let's think that we are also multiplying these, so we have 2 times that conjugate, which is square root of 3 plus 1. And instead of multiplying through by that, let's instead look at our numerator and our denominator and see that they both have a factor of 2, which would cancel out. So when those cancel out, what's going to happen is we are going to be left with 1 times that square root of 3 plus 1 all over 1, which is the square root of 3 plus 1. Works very nicely. Let's try another example with this one. In this case, we have 3 over, and then we have the square root of x plus the square root of 5. Once again, let's try this using conjugates. So since our denominator had a plus in between, this time the conjugate would be square root of x minus square root of 5. We're going to multiply both of these, the numerator and the denominator, by square root of x minus square root of 5. In our denominator, when we multiply, we see that we would take square root of x times square root of x, which is square root of x squared, or x. Then we would have minus, and we would take square root of x times square root of 5, which is square root of 5x. Then we'd have a plus with taking square root of 5 times square root of x, which is square root of 5x. And then we would take square root of 5 times negative square root of 5, which is negative square root of 25, or minus 5. Again, those middle terms drop out. Our denominator is then x minus 5. Our numerator, we have this 3, and we are taking it times that conjugate, which was square root of x minus square root of 5. Nothing cancels. We don't have any factors of 3 in the denominator, and we can't factor because we have square roots in the numerator but not the denominator. So we have finished with rationalizing our denominator.